everything that you've supported up to now, and our members have supported, can be successful. Well, on the 30th of June, we had, as I said at the beginning, the biggest strike that PCS has ever had, and the civil service unions have had since 1993, when we fought against market testing and privatisation. We know that it was well supported, and we were very brave to be prepared to take that stand. It was only us and 3 teaching unions that went on strike in June. It should have been far more than that, because nurses are facing the same assault, local government workers, everybody else. And we were lambasted. You know, we had Maud going on about how can you strike when we're talking. Lefties are all running amok because they don't want agreements. These moderate leaders like Jonathan Baum of the FTA and Dave Prentice, they don't want to strike. We were absolutely lambasted. The reason we went on strike, not because we wanted to, but because we realised that at that time they had already started making the changes. They changed our pension from RPI to CPI. I saw Gus O'Donnell's letter last week, and it just said right at the end, oh yeah, we changed RPI to CPI, like it's some incidental fact. It devalues your pension by 20% at the stroke of a pen. So we had to take action to say that we are determined to try and stop you, but also because in the civil service we are more vulnerable than anyone. And we're more vulnerable because if they're going to make any concessions, you have to say that we're the least likely to be in the front of the queue. The civil service is the least popular, and we have the lowest contribution rate. So you've already had doctors saying the civil service should have a cut and doctors shouldn't. So us taking action was about showing them that far from being the weakest, the civil service is actually determined to ensure we defend what we've got and that we want other people with us. That's why we took action on the 30th, even though a lot of people attacked us. But anyone, therefore, who says, well, did it make any difference? I think in some ways it was an incredible success we've not seen before. We were in the media for days and weeks in the run-up. Front page news of the papers, headlines on the TV and on the news. We put pensions at the centre stage of the British political debate. The government, as Jon Snow famously said on Channel 4 News, had gone to ground and were refusing to come on and do a debate with any union leader. So we won the debate. I have no doubt we won the debate. But we did something else. And this is the thing that is incalculable. We changed the mood so much by what you did on the 30th, by your strikes, by your marches, by your demonstrations, that at the TUC the following day, every union, who up until that point had not been prepared to do anything, had said that they recognised the mood had changed, because their members were saying to them, where are we? Where are we defending local government pensions, health pensions and everything else? And you found in the weeks from there, we are now on the verge of the biggest strike in Britain since 1926. 3 million people in 22 public sector unions balloting and potentially going on strike. When the FTA are balloting for a strike in the civil service, you know something is happening. And the FTA and the prospect now mean that every civil service union will be on strike. Every education union, including the head teachers for the first time in an awful long time, voted to go on strike. All the health unions, local government unions, all of them balloting, firefighters, all of them recognising that now we do need to stand together. And I think you should take a lot of pride in what you did as helping to bring that about. And what it means is we now moved on. We've moved on from PCS and a few others, quite correctly and bravely standing up to say no, to doing something that I don't think the government ever thought would happen. When I was sat across the table from Francis Moore, I can tell you he's quite a smug bloke. And he was smug, because while he was taunting me and Christine Blow from the NUT in the meetings about, oh, you're going on strike on your own, nobody supports you, you don't support them, do you? And you have to just endure it. He never believed that Unison and the GMB and the NAS UWT would go on strike. And they are shocked that these so-called moderate union leaders have now been forced to ballot. And not only ballot, in Unison's case, work very, very hard to deliver a yes vote. And so the government have been surprised by what we have managed to pull off. And that is why what we've got to ensure about the 30th is that it is even better in the civil service than the 30th of June. That's tough, because you did better than ever before. But we want Maud to be getting phone calls from his permanent secretaries on the day after the 30th, being told, good God, it was even better than the one they had in the summer. We want him to know support is rising, not dropping. And therefore, you've got to get the answer, you've got to get across to the members, who understandably some of them might be weary, it's another strike, it's another one-day strike, and say to them, they'll never have seen anything like this. There won't be a village or a town or a city in Britain that that will not have picket lines, that will not have demonstrations, that will not have marches. You will not pass a hospital without seeing nurses standing on the gate, a college, a school, a job centre, a tax office, a museum, a prison, everywhere, a fire station, are all going to be out saying, 3 million of us have said there's an alternative, and you're not raiding our pensions. It is one of the single most important things that we will ever do, and we have got to make it an absolute success. And the opportunity we will get in the run-up to the 30th is to get back on the telly and the radio and in the newspapers, locally through your reps, nationally where we can, to actually draw the arguments out. Pensions are costing less. We have made the changes. This is necessary. Forcing the government onto the back foot. Added to the point we make, job cuts, services going, unemployment rising, we've got to create the maximum amount of pressure on the government. And we've got to draw out some of the obscene contradictions. We've got to say, how is it that our pensions are being cut, we're being forced to work till 68 and people are losing their jobs, and yet Gus O'Donnell retires at 59, goes to the House of Lords, £300,000 lump sum, £100,000 pension, and then to add insult to injury, O'Donnell is going and being replaced with 3 people. Now, if we were losing every job and creating 3, we'd probably be doing a dance of joy. We're losing jobs and nobody's being replaced, the members' work is getting heavier. Gus O'Donnell goes off with his hundreds of thousands, and 3 people are put in place where there was 1 job. Now, we've got to make these points and highlight how it is 1 rule for one and 1 rule for everybody else. And the opportunity we get in the 30th, we shouldn't underestimate. It is going to transform political debate in Britain for a while. Now, I'll leave you with this thought that on the 30th, I have no doubt that we will pull off an absolutely fantastic day. And I want to thank you in advance, because it won't be me organising the picket lines in your town or organising the rally or getting up at 6:30 and rallying the troops. You'll be doing all of that, and that is a big effort and a big commitment, and I really thank you in advance for it. And after you've done your picketing, I hope you're going along to the rally, and I hope you're going to the march, and I hope PCS is seen to have one of the biggest presences, so that they realise the civil service ain't the soft touch. The civil service is determined to not let them get away with what we're doing. And while you're at it, tell them some of the facts. If anyone dares say to you, your pension contributions are lower than everybody else, how can that be? Tell them what Lord Scott said in the 1980s when he did a report into public sector pensions. He said that in the civil service, your contribution is the equivalent of 8% because your pay has been cut in order to allow for your non-contributing pension. He also said our contribution rates at that level were higher than almost any other private sector scheme that was comparable. So we haven't got it easy with low contributions. We've got appalling levels of pay that are continuing are frozen while they're trying to increase your contribution, and in some case ask people to pay masses of extra money that people can ill afford. So we do that on the 30th. We're absolutely proud about what we're doing. We try to dominate the debate, and then we hope that the government does what it has failed to do up to now, which is have a meaningful negotiation. It talks about the issues we care about, it talks about pensions, it talks about the absurdity that you losing jobs in DWP when unemployment is rising. But we have to be clear, and I'm going to leave you on this thought, that we've got to hope for the best, but we've got to plan for the worst. I hope that 3 million people on the 30th shake them down to their shoes, and they think we've misjudged it, and we've got to engage. But if it doesn't, and we come back in January, and the government are still hell-bent on this robbery, it follows that we have to be prepared to do more. It follows that we can't just say we've done our bit and give up, because once we stop, if they get away with it, those jobs will go, that pay will be frozen, and your pension will go forever. And that is why we may have to have a bigger discussion with members about more action with other unions, about whether or not action can be even harder hitting. Not because we want to, but as somebody brilliantly put it, you can't afford not to, because the pension contribution alone is the equivalent of losing a day's pay every month for the rest of your lives. And so while striking is hard, and people notice what's gone, the pension contribution rise for many people will be a lot more than that forever and ever. And so in one sense, as tough as it gets, I think we've got to be prepared to try and tell them we're going to do whatever it takes to shift them. It follows the better the 30th, the more chance we won't have to do more. And in that sense, I hope, I know you're sure you were convinced before you came, I hope you are absolutely convinced that whatever has happened in the past, we've never been in a period like this, what we stand to lose is unimaginable to people only a few short years ago. It's unnecessary, it's brutal, and we are going to pay an extraordinary price unless we can stop them. On the 30th of June, we showed them that we meant business. On the 30th of November, we'll see something that we have not seen in this country for 80 years. And I hope that is enough to get them to see sense. And I wish you well and hope you can all do as much as you can.